Welcome to issue 15 of the Comics Corner podcast with B-Lar and Danny P.
Hey now, everybody.
Comics Corner podcast is brought to you by the CLZ app. We have a lot on tap for you today. We will be discussing books from November 27th as well as today, December 4th. We'll let you know what we've been reading and enjoying. 2 weeks of number ones. Superman and Lois series finale aired on Monday and it was exceptional, which made me think, let's talk about the Arrowverse this week. The DC TV shows that were making up the little known thing is Arrowverse. As I've said, we'll talk about all things comic related. So, Danny, what have you been enjoying lately?
You know what? So far, I've really liked the first two parts of that of Amazing Spider-Man that we've had with the Eight Deaths of Spider-Man, with Kelly taking over uh, and Peter dying at the end, taking on these new kind of, I guess, celestial like villains. So far, I've enjoyed both of those. The art's awesome. Somebody was talking to me about how they don't enjoy McGinnis as much, but he's always been one of my favorite artists. Just very cartoony, bigger than life, but it's fantastic.
Agreed.
And actually, yeah, and both my two that I've really been into lately were both Marvel, which is surprising for me. And Iron Man, I enjoyed. Near the end there, it was so X-Men with Iron Man, and it was nice just the last two issues just be all Tony Stark all the time and very heavy. I always love all of his like outfits and uniforms, different suits, all the stuff that he has. So, and they pushed that really heavy in the first two issues with that. So I've enjoyed that, and just the whole absolute universe. I think for me, I don't know, you might have a different rating, but so far I've enjoyed absolute. Probably goes Wonder Woman, Batman, and then Superman. But I've enjoyed those quite a bit as well.
Yeah, definitely all in on it. Pun intended. Yeah, I haven't read Wonder Woman 2 yet, and I know Superman, I believe, is coming out this week.
Yep, yep.
And but so far I I can't argue with your listing. Wonder Woman was just fantastic. Batman also good, and Superman. But after 3 or 4 issues that come out, I think it will change because I think Superman is just going to go someplace where you didn't see it coming. Batman, I heard they're going to use some of the villains when they start bringing in like Bane and some other ones. I think it could be really good. So it might change, but Wonder Woman right now, hot out of the gate. And Kelly Thompson, I think, is the writer.
Yeah.
Yeah. Some of the other stuff she's done with Birds of Prey and things like that, I don't see her stalling. So uh, for me, I just finished the Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles #4, the Jason Aaron uh, run on it so far. Doing some nice things with the Turtles, bringing them back together. He did 4 individualized stories that was leading to them coming back together. The latest one was a Donatello one, but finished up with them realizing that they need each other and got back together. Black Canary #1, the battle to be the best or battle of the best. It's a 6-issue series, and it has to do with Black Canary fighting Lady Shiva. And anyone who knows, Lady Shiva is one of the greatest martial artists. When Batman was looking for training and realized he needed more martial art trainings, he went and found her. So clearly, she's a good martial artist. It's a 6-round fight and 6 issues, so they're gonna have story involved, and then some of the fight. So this first issue was basically round one. So I like what they're doing with that. Tom King, though, I mean, he's such a good writer, and obviously they're going to use his story for the Supergirl movie they plan on making. So obviously great writer. Justice League Unlimited #1 came out. The new idea of basically every hero on the planet is now part of the Justice League, and they can use different teams for the different problems that are going on Earth or in space, and bringing some of the lesser known characters in. Mark Waid is brilliant for that through the years when he did Kingdom Come and had free reign to use people. So now he's got free reign in the regular universe. So looking forward to that so much. And Dan Mora is my favorite artist right now and just did such a nice job. And using an obscure person like Airwave and being the big reveal at the end of the first issue. So looking forward to that. And went over to Image and the new Rockefellers. It, it was kind of lost in space, but lost in time instead. But a family who's trying to escape from people, and they time travel back to our time, and they're still in communication with the future. They have that ability, and what happens from there. So, some pretty interesting stories that are coming out. Stuff that are not coming out, but stuff that we read, and I wasn't sure if it came out. And I have to ask Danny because you made a guess. Did Venom War #5 come out?
Venom War #5 comes out this week. So it's one of those, like we said, Diamond consolidated everything into one warehouse. So after this week, we'll be back to having our books every Wednesday in normal goings, but these last 2 weeks, different times. So Venom War #5 will make the scene on Wednesday this week.
Awesome. So later on today, you can stop by and pick it up. I haven't seen anybody reveal who the new Venom is, and I know Danny made the Luke Cage guess. So uh, I'm holding my breath. I think that would be great, and looking forward to finding out if you're right, Danny.
Well,
So
yeah, and I think because the way shipping happened too, we should also get all new Venom this week, #1 as well, which is one of the ones that I was excited coming up here. So yeah, we'll get to go back to back. Once you read one, you can start right with the other one.
definitely, definitely. Yeah, definitely. And I haven't been reading, the Spider people. I have, I've slowly gotten back into Marvel, but really enjoyed the Venom movies, all three of them. And I didn't get the Venom Wars, but I'm going to get #5 so I can see who the new Venom is, and also the all new Venom #1. So, as I mentioned on Monday, we just had the series finale of Superman and Lois, which 10 episode series, and it was the last series from the Arrowverse. So with that happening on Monday, we come to the end of the Arrowverse. And DC, they weren't pushing the movies as much. They were pushing a lot into the television. And in October of 2012, they released Arrow. They brought Stephen Amell in to be Green Arrow, and they didn't call him Green Arrow. They called him the Hood. They and Danny, did you watch many of these at all? Did you get a chance
I
to catch some
watched
of them?
Arrow and Flash were the main ones that were on in the Patashik household, so we watched all those, and Black Lightning was in the mix as well. But that's that, and that whole Crisis, that was awesome when they did the whole big Crisis crossover. I got to see all of those, but yeah, it was in and out of a lot of the stuff.
Sure. I would. I guess the best. I was addicted to the TV shows. Green Arrow has been one of my favorite characters of all time, and they brought in relatively unknown to me Stephen Amell, and first episode he snaps a guy's neck, and it's okay. It's not Smallville. Smallville kind of pushed the Arrowverse. If we didn't have Smallville finishing and them trying to figure out what they wanted to do at DC TV, then we wouldn't have Arrowverse. But once it hit the ground running, they realized what they had. I heard a different podcast with an interview of Amel, and he basically said they saved the CW. Arrow coming out got viewership, and you know, obviously by them adding the Flash 2 years later, a Supergirl they brought over from CBS, Legends of Tomorrow, which were just the B characters that were from Arrow and Flash, gets their own series. They have Black Lightning, and Black Lightning was in its own universe, but that, like you said, they did Crisis, and like the comic, the Crisis TV shows they did went across all the different shows in the Arrowverse, and they brought them into one world. So it had everybody available for the last couple seasons as they were finishing off Arrow, but they had, the Flash and Batwoman, and all of it had over 823 episodes throughout the whole series is
Wow.
what's been said. They did a couple of cartoons that were on the CW Seed, their app, the CW app. There was an NBC show, Constantine. The lead was Matt Ryan, and he's voiced Constantine in the cartoons. he got brought over into Legends of Tomorrow. So, and they also credit a crossover with the 1919 Flash or 1990 TV show Flash, because the character who played Barry Allen in that was brought into as Henry Allen, Barry's dad. So DC did such a great job. There was at one point where I even felt, in my own opinion, was a little hot take, far out there kind of thing, but I thought DC TV was better than some of the Marvel movies that were coming out at the time. And not a lot of people agreed with me. They don't to this day. And clearly, Marvel movies have held on since the Arrowverse is wrapped up.
Mhm.
But for anyone who uh, didn't get a chance to at least see that last 20 minutes of Superman and Lois, they put an exclamation point not only on the series, but on the Arrowverse, that paid so much respect to Superman and Lois, and it went in a direction that you didn't see coming. So, highly recommend that. Any memories that you want to share from the series, Dan? Or
Flash was such a big thing for us those first 4 or 5 years. We watched that stuff nonstop, stop, and I don't know. It just always ended up being the bad guy and it being another speed villain, which was the only thing that he has such a wide array of villains. That's the coolest thing of Flash that I wish they could have gone a little bit deeper in with that.
I agree. And when they finally did, they brought in the Thinker as
Mhm,
the
yeah,
villain, and it was like it was okay, but there's so many other villains they could have used. And they did a Vandal Savage crossover where they had him as one of, and they could have brought him for a whole season instead of Thinker, because he lived, obviously, his Vandal Savage lives through everything.
yeah.
But yeah, they could have done something like you said. Yeah, and Grant Gustin, to me, he's the Flash.
It's
Ezra
awesome.
Miller, even
Yeah,
before he lost his mind, um, I did not like him at all. I was hoping that DC would go, okay, we'll put him in, and then even down the road use Stephen Amell for Green Arrow if they need him in the movie. But they chose to not go in that direction, unfortunately. So that leads us to what we're looking forward to for later on today when we get to the comic shop. Dan, what are you thinking?
a couple ones coming out this week. They've been doing a lot of those like kind of short stories for the holidays. Look at that, the mini series with the Batman Santa Claus, which started last week, and this week when they have one called Batman Smells, Robin Laid an Egg. It's got a lot of incredible covers. One with Bermejo just does this fantastic Joker dressed as Santa, just very unhinged, and so I was excited to check that one out from DC. And Christmas 365 from Dark Horse. I guess there's a theme to some of it this week. That was the other guy from My Chemical Romance is doing a miniseries on that, where somehow the main character turns into Christmas every day of the year.
Okay.
And there was at least, let's see, Final Interview, which is one from Scout. Well, Dark Harbor is like their horror division, but it's Scout. Scout is the company, kind of a Office meets I don't know, Squid Games is what you were saying earlier, but I've never seen that. But it just looks like it looks very creepy, just kind of business workplace, but there's blood everywhere. So that looked rather interesting. And the whole just so the ending of Venom War and the beginning of all new Venom were probably the other two things that I was the most excited for this week for sure. How about you?
Yeah, I got a little confused because you were talking about that final interview, and uh, I go to a few websites when we're getting ready for this, getting to get prepared. I don't get to the comic book store and get the book shipped like you do, so I don't see what's coming in. But I do my best to do a little bit of research, and on one of the websites, it was called Dark Harbor, and then the other one was called Scout Comics, but it was the same comic book. It was the final interview, so I don't know. And it sounds like Scout Harbor is the publisher, or Scout is the publisher, and Dark Harbor is the imprint. It's sort of like
Yeah, yeah,
Ghost
I
Machine.
feel it's like a DC Vertigo situation.
Okay, gotcha. So yeah, I did notice that final interview, and like I said, it sounded like somebody said it was Squid Games, and like you said, The Office. So uh, that does sound interesting. Uh, X-Men #8, the Radon Grey-Molkin crossover is about to begin. It's a 4-part series that's crossing over X-Men and Uncanny X-Men. So X-Men 8's this week, and Uncanny X-Men is supposed to come out next week. I do have the all new Venom #1. Uh, I'm still, like I said, I want to know who the new Venom is. And Thundercats Apex #1. It's a one shot that's coming out, and the story continues in Thundercats #11. But it's written by Ed Brisson, who is going to be writing Silverhawks. That's going to be coming out in February, which I hope, fingers crossed, that it does what Thundercats has been doing and just keeps, a good childhood classic cartoon that I grew up watching, and making it into a really good comic book. The Batman Santa Claus Silent Night Returns. Uh, issue 1 came out last week. Issue 2, it's a weekly series for 5 weeks. Last year they did this, and they just, the story was great. I was shocked by it. I thought this is going to be campy, and no, it was a Saint Nicholas and the Krampus story. The Krampus is the villain, but he's not. This well written story, so really looking forward to that. And we got the Christmas theme for the next month of books coming out. It sounds like we have 2 weeks of #1s for everybody because we did miss last week. So here are the #1s from November 27th that came out last week. Antarctic Press, Tibby and Her Time-Traveling Psychedelic Mushrooms. Dark Horse, Welcome to Maynard. This was a James Robinson book. James is the writer of Starman and JSA Golden Age. From DC, we talked about all 3 books that came out: Batman Santa Claus, Silent Night Returns, Black Canary, Best of the Best, Justice League Unlimited #1. Image had Hornsby and Halo. Peter Tomasi's the writer. It's a Ghost Machine book. Keen Spot had Stitches #1. Mad Cave, Synap #1. This one looks really interesting. I'm looking forward to reading that one. Marvel had West Coast Avengers #1, where Ultron and Firestar join Iron Man, so kind of redemption for the bad guys. Scout Comics had Black Demon, Tails Descent, Kerpow, and Milk Run #1. And Wake Entertainment had Dead Samurai #1. Now the #1s for December 4th. Today, New Comic Book Day. Ahoy Comics has Archaic #1. Archie Comics, Archie Christmas Special. Scout or Dark Harbor at Final Interview. Dark Horse Christmas 365. DC has Two-Face #1. Dynamite, Powerpuff Girls Winter Snowdown Showdown, and Thundercats Apex #1. IDW has Monster High Monster High Holiday Haunt. Image has Dread the Halls and Juvenile #1. Keen Spot Entertainment is Jungle Drama Salty Beaches, which has some interesting looking covers. Mad Cave Studios has Long Cold Winter. Marvel, as we said, All New Venom #1, and Marvel Holiday Tales to Astonish. And Scout Comics has Dusk #1 and Kiva #1. Danny, talk to us about the subscription club.
Yeah, make sure over in Fraser, Rochester Hills, come join the club. It's 25% off whatever titles you put yourself on, and 10% off whatever you grab off the racks. Make sure you don't miss out on any other books again. Some guy's been members with us the whole 42 years.
And what are the hours at the stores?
We are open on a Monday and Tuesday, 11 to 6, and Wednesday, 10 to 8, Thursday, 11 to 7, Friday, 11 to 7, Saturday, 11 to 6, and Sunday, 11 to 4. That's all in Fraser. The only difference is we are closed on Tuesday in Rochester Hills.
Well, that wraps up another issue of the Comics Corner podcast with B-Lar and Danny P. We are part of the SPDM podcast crew and would like to thank the CLZ app for their sponsorship. Please check out the CLZ app when you get a chance. Please check us out on our social media at Comics Corner Podcast on Facebook and Comics Corner Pod, all one word, on Instagram. And as always, comics is with an X. Thanks for listening and have a great week.
Read well, everybody.